Okay guys, so today I'll be talking about know your rights if immigration knocks on your door. And this is not limited to the people who don't have documents at this point. It also goes to the permanent residents out there that are a little apprehensive or a little scared with what's happening at this time. So number one is everybody has been talking about do not open the door, right? So what this means is if immigration or ICE identifies themselves at your door and knocks on your door, do not open the door. ICE usually needs to have a warrant signed by the judge. Most ICE agents don't get to the judge to sign that order. So if they just give you a letter indicating you have a previous arrest that makes you deportable, please open the door, that's not a warrant. Or if they just have an old order indicating you have some problems in immigration or we recently denied your work permit, that's also not a warrant. A warrant is basically something signed that says that ICE has the authority and it's been given by a judge, signed by a legitimate judge, that they need to go get you, okay? So if they identify themselves with the document, just let them know, can you slip it under the door? And I will have my attorney review that document with me, or I will give you a call back. Okay, so that's number one, don't open the door, and always ask for a warrant. Most likely they don't have a warrant, so ask them to slip any documents that they have under the door. Second is that you have the right to remain silent. That's a huge one. Meaning if an ICE agent starts asking you questions about when did you come into the United States, or have you had any problems with a criminal court, or any past history in the United States, you have the right to remain silent. I tell my clients this all the time. You can politely tell them, I know that I have the right to remain silent when I'm being questioned, unless I am taking into court, where most likely you will have to answer certain questions. So that's a huge one, and just say, I know I have the right to remain silent and I wish to speak with my attorney before I start speaking with you. Very politely. Third is do not sign anything unless your attorney is present. That's another huge one. If you encounter ICE even outside of your house, if they give you a document that says anything about your rights, if you sign anything that you don't know what it reads, you are most likely giving away certain rights. You're giving away a right to speak with an officer without the presence of your attorney, or you're waiving the right to see a judge in court. And that's a huge one. I've seen a lot of people being intimidated into signing away documents. Most of the time that I talk to them and I say, you know that one of the first things that you should say is, I'm not signing anything. But what they tell me is, I felt pressured into doing it because the officer told me, if you don't sign, I think you're going to be here you're looking at about 90 to 180 days detention. And people get afraid of that. And so they sign away. Another intimidation tactic that some officers use is they will let you know, don't you have a spouse that's a United States citizen, or don't you have kids in the United States? You'll most likely answer, yes, I do. They will let you know, if you sign this, this won't matter. Your kids or your wife can still petition for you. Now, once you sign that order and you leave back to your home country, we as practitioners know that it's not as easy to get you back into the country legally once you've signed certain rights away. So the rule of thumb is to never sign anything. What I sometimes tell my clients is, if they're pressuring you, just say, I don't know how to read, I need my attorney present. I get really nervous and I start stuttering and I can't read what's on the paper. And they will most likely say, okay, I think this person needs their attorney present. The other recommendation that we have is always carry, at this point, carry all your immigration documents with you, even if you're going to the liquor store, or if you're at home. Always have, and this means legal documents, meaning if you are a green card holder, always carry your green card around. Most people have the tendency to leave their green cards at home, and even immigration will tell you, once they issue you the green card, you should carry that green card with you at all times, because if you're in a federal area where they require that, like an airport or at a checkpoint, you're supposed to have that. If not, they can detain you for not having documents. If you have a work permit, carry that with you as well. Make sure that you have a valid work permit, that it's not expired. If it will be about to expire in about 3 months, make sure that you contact your attorney to extend the validity of that work permit. If not, carry the receipt notice that you have a pending work permit in the works. And the third is, I always tell my clients, carry around your petitions. I know that the petitions usually, they will even say on the letter that it's not a visa, it's not any type of protection, it's not a visa. But what I usually tell my clients is, if you have at least a family petition in the works, carry it with you, because some officers will use discretion, meaning if they question you, has your parent or your spouse petitioned for you, and you say yes, and you carry that petition with you, they will most likely give you the discretion to leave home, because they will assume that you have something in the works and that it's not really such an emergency to take you and detain you at that particular time. So for most of my clients that have a petition in the works or a waiver pending, I usually say carry a clear color copy of that receipt in your wallet. And if you're ever questioned, that will most likely get you the out of jail card, and hopefully it does work out. At the next segment, a lot of people have been asking me this, and I will say or talk about a little bit of a safety plan to have in case you are really, really afraid that you may be detained at a certain point, and you have children back at home, or your wife, and you want to know what's a creative way to kind of make sure that you are protected in some way. One of the last topics that I want to say is, most of my clients, and I've been asked this before, so I'm sharing that information. Most of my clients get a card that looks similar to this. It's a little bit heavier, and it has in the back your know your rights. Okay, I give most of my clients this because when you're in that situation, you get nervous and you won't have all these points in your head. But if you are faced in a situation, you're allowed to take something out, read this out loud to yourself, and it's in English and Spanish, and you don't miss a point. One of the major things that I have here is that if you are detained and you're face to face with an immigration ICE agent, always write down their name, or ask them where you are at, because most likely if you're detaining, you're taken somewhere, you don't see street signs, so you don't know exactly where you're being detained. And that's huge for your attorneys and your family members, because if you get a one call that's 2 minutes long, you want to tell your family members, I'm detained by so-and-so, I'm in this city, and this is my case number. So always be alert if you do get detained of writing this stuff down. And this kind of gives you a little bit of help in just training your mind to not miss these points. And I'll share this information also in Spanish. If you need one of these cards, we usually don't sparingly give them out. I give them usually to my clients. But if you're really afraid, we can set up a consultation so you can get one of these and just feel a lot safer. Also, for all of you who are listening to this clip, you're more than welcome to comment on the comment section of the video, or if you'd like to privately message me on Facebook, I'm usually very responsive. If it's a very complicated question that requires a lot of explanation, I will most likely contact you personally and set you up for an appointment so I can dedicate the time and answer every single question that you may have. I get a lot of messages on Facebook, and that's great because it takes very little effort. Sometimes you don't want to make that full committed call, and most of the time it leads into a full consultation. So I invite you to do that. Don't, reserve your questions. If you don't want to make it public, again, you can privately message me and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.